Hi, everyone. I wanted to take a moment and in video form in person here, comment on this date of May 19th, 2021 on what has become a Me Too moment and movement within the US beer scene and talk about it. So my name is Julia Hers, opposite of his. And in my home of Lyons, Colorado, I have been not sleeping and had lots of trouble in the last week from many triggers, even right now, from the stories that have been shared from Brianna Allen and Rat Magnet in Instagram form from 1,000+ people, mostly women, some men, but mostly women, who have had issues of harassment, assault, and microaggression within their world working in beverage alcohol. And I do think that we need to and should and can have the opportunity to use this moment for lasting change. Yet, let's remember this is a planet Earth problem. We do have issues in this world, so much so that in the world of, the UN work or the World Economic Forum, we know that it's going to take hundreds of years to eradicate the gender equity gap and the treatment of women. Gender and equity is a UN Sustainability Development Goal, number 5, put forth in 2015. We have issues where women are not in leadership. Less than 7% of the CEOs at Fortune 500 companies are women. Less than 25% of Congress are women. So women not only are not making it to the top in an equal way, we are kept from the top because of the treatment and the bias, and then the self-doubt and the self-questioning that creeps in. And so I am here to encourage that we should all look at our own part, as so much of that has been going on in the last few years, but it's just not getting the job done. And a way to look at our own part, and I'm doing this personally, is create a concerted, growing body of work. In my world in beer, which I am still in beer, excited and privileged and honored for that. I was the craft beer program director at the Brewers Association from 2007 till about June 2020 last year. And as a female leader in beer, I turned a blind eye. I did not do enough. I knew about stories that did not get resolved. I witnessed things that I did not act on enough or in an appropriate and effective manner. I was exposed to issues. I was harassed. I was profiled in a way that was belittling. I was demeaned. I was pregnant at beer festivals and feeling the shame thrown towards me. Instead of across the board celebration. I was out late night and had issues with men in my field and my colleagues. I experienced this. It is time to each say that all women experience harassment and discrimination. And so it is a planet Earth issue. What can we do? I gave a keynote talk to the Women's International Beer Summit 2 weeks ago, I believe, 3 weeks ago. And I could have focused on the topic of harassment, bias, discrimination against women. I left it be. I did not take that opportunity. And that is on me. That is wrong. We each have a venue. And that's why I'm using my venue today through social media. So what can we each do as victims or parties to the problem? As victims, keeping silent is as painful as reporting. So we have to be able to report. It's choose your pain, pick your predicament. And I am so sorry that this is the case. But reporting anonymously and on the record is the first step. The powerful flashlight is what will get many and men especially to bear witness to the pain and the issue that we as women deal with on a day-to-day basis. Job interviewing as individuals, ask and get the companies that you are interviewing with to share with you their growing concerted body of work in the arena of diversity, equity, inclusion, and safe workspaces. And if they can't back it up, And if you are able to produce options, have that consider in your choice to where you work. Brewers and event organizers, just admit it's going to happen. Have programs that are prevention, right? That's the best way, but also have programs that already admit that harassment and discrimination to women and diverse populations are going to happen on your watch. That is important. And make sure that anonymous reporting and the ability for a third party outside for somebody to report to is in place and doesn't go to the leadership right away that might even be in the situation of being one of the accused. That needs to be rectified, and a way to do that is get with third party out of house reporting and investigative support. There are so many well-intentioned people in the world, in beverage alcohol and in beer, but that doesn't prevent this learned, ingrained, unacceptable, and allowed behavior. What will do that is concerted work. I am very familiar now with Yes All Women, hashtag Yes All Women, and what a great movement to remind that not all men are aggressors. We need to lead with that. I am married to a beautiful, wonderful man. I have two great young men that I am raising. Not all men are aggressors. We need to lead with that. But all women do experience harassment, bias, and discrimination. If you are listening to my words and do not understand that or believe it, then it's time to get further training on your own time and dime, even maybe, to get into the space that you are with the modern times. I am concerned there'll be backlash potentially from women that do report. We learned that from the Me Too movement, and there's data out there to say that hostility towards women generally overall increased, and gender harassment or sexual assault and harassment should never increase from reporting. That is an issue. Women's self-esteem and self-doubt and self-worth are questioned, especially even more after reporting. So I think that's extremely important to take away from the Me Too movement that goes back to 2006 and then even had another moment in 2012. But as the Me Too movement continues, we have to realize that there's often backlash. So everyone around the concept of that should and keeping that top of mind is absolutely key. Realizing the laws that are in place, I think, is empowering. So I'll take a moment to remind of those. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is a good resource from our federal government, and they remind where you can literally file a harassment charge against an employer. They also have resources to remind employers of your legal responsibility. We look back at the history on what's been going on. And since 1964, when we got Title IX on the books, that was a very powerful moment. And that was part of the Civil Rights Act. Then we get to the Age Discrimination Act in the Employment Act of 1967. And the American Disabilities Act has been very powerful in 1990. But there is more work to be done. And maybe even the definition of harassment needs some work. Being aware of what harassment is can help you tune into the situation. Harassment, at least to the EEOC, is unwelcome conduct that is based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, being 40 years or older, disability, or genetic information. And being aware of that, and then having somebody be an employer that houses somebody that has to be privy to and experience harassment, then you are liable. And there are, massive steps to take. I'll take a moment to share screen first and kind of remind the world that, it's time to eternalize gender equity. This is my campaign that I launched on my time and dime after being laid off. Gray for Good for All Womanhood, and letting my hair go gray. I went through pain and predicament and shame and not celebration across the board, and definite questioning of my confidence. And I have now turned that into the awareness campaign that women can use their gray hair for good, to go gray for good, and then use the savings from that to contribute to women and girls' causes. Of the 47,000 women and girls causes that were documented in 2017, they were only estimated to receive from the Women's Philanthropy Institute tied to Indiana University 1.6% of the overall funding for giving. 1.6% of funding in 2017 went to women and girls causes in the US in 2017. That number alone shows you the issue with where women stand in our priorities in this country. And then if you go to women and girls of color, which is even more egregious to look at, the Miss Foundation for Women has shown us from their study that mere pocket change of only 0.5% of giving back foundations went to women and girls of color. It is really time to get at what our growing body of work could and should be. Here is my dedicated page that has been up since I got laid off and became a consultant, that is on my website on equity and inclusion. I'm doing what I can to back it up based on my own disabilities and now age slights towards being over 40. And I'd like to encourage everyone to consider looking at their own bias by taking the unconscious bias tests. Harvard University and Washington State and University of Virginia and an amazing nonprofit have a illicit bias test that you can work your way through, and they really are enlightening. They take 10 minutes each, and I want you each to consider taking that. What you can do as a growing body of work is introduce yourself to others that are not like you and create relationships that are mentorship and coaching in an equal way that is based on friendship alone and encouragement alone. And learn from others that are not like you. Learn from others that don't look like you. Learn from others that are not your gender. Read from others that are not your gender. Go to talks and donate to others that support causes that are not like you. We need to all lead with our own place in this. And prevention is the first step. Training, so if we are a victim, we know what recourse we have, and training to not become one of the accused is key. And then comfortable with reporting, shine that flashlight is what I will emphasize to you. Reminding that hashtag Yes All Women is there, reminding that the EEOC has a harassment reporting mechanism and that there are laws on the books to back you, reminding you that the majority of incidents are never reported percentage-wise based on the data, and that we want to change that number at minimum, and that over time in our lifetime, we want to eradicate the gender equity gap and put women on equal footing, so we are not treated by each other, women to women or men to women, as anything but equal. It's a tough topic. I've recorded this video a couple times today. I cried in the earlier versions, and I don't want to strike a note that is anything but positive for the potential for future improvement, right? We need to admit the egregious nature of this situation, but the potential for improvement is there, and that is what I want to lead with and encourage with. Hashtag Women in Craft Beer should be a hashtag where women are celebrating our contributions to the industry, our skill set, our innovations, our leadership, our chance to bring forth to the world the best beer and beverage experience possible. And the only way to have that realistic is if we remove over time from our culture, from our society, and from beverage alcohol, the egregious nature and experiences that women are subjected to, and that we each as women have to endure, and over time, generationally, have come to just expect and accept. It is time to change that paradigm, put each of ourselves on the line. I am sorry I did not do enough while I had the position that I did, but my position today is just as strong in many ways. And with that, I am very, very encouraged to keep this conversation going and to be there for any women that want to reach out. I look forward to being a voice in this space and this conversation. And I wish you each speed in your training and preventative thinking and approach to network with those that are not like you, and to learn and to lead and to help change the situation. Be well, be happy, be healthy, and take care of yourselves. Thanks very much.